Greetings, everyone, and welcome to the 143rd edition of Cinema Effect. Brain is breaking when we start getting to these high numbers. It's like a calculator. When it gets too high, it can no longer keep track of, all the shit we've done,
You can only count up by one each week.
Man, it's so many. I can't believe it. Can you believe we're getting to the point where we're going to be very soon, blink of an eye, closer to episode 200 than 100?
Wow.
Jeez.
I don't know. It's pretty wild. I'm Zach, and I'm joined by Disney's number one hater, Jaden.
Hello.
Hello, good morning. And PTA's number one fanboy, a.k.a. JC, a.k.a. Fitzy, a.k.a. Liam.
Hello. Good morning.
Good morning to you as well. Ladies and gentlemen, this is Cinema Effect, the podcast where we review and talk about a different movie every single Monday. And this week, that movie is The Sea Beast, which was uploaded to Netflix on July 8th, 2022. I didn't realize it was actually that long ago. I thought it was like late 2022.
Yeah, I honestly thought I watched it in like October or some shit. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. So, we're almost looking at, it's not a year, but anyway, longer than I thought. Directed by Chris Williams. It's an animated adventure film, and the synopsis says, when a young girl stows away on the ship of a legendary sea monster hunter. Wait, what did I say? On the ship of a legendary sea monster hunter. That makes more sense. They launch an epic journey into uncharted waters and make history to boot. Hopefully I can not lose track of this, as I am clearly already struggling. But anyway, Liam, you haven't seen this movie before. What was your feeling watching The Sea Beast, and how many times do you plan to rewatch it?
It was pretty good. Not going to rewatch it, but it was pretty fun. The design of the sea beast was pretty funny. His nose and his eyes were always just looking down. Very comedically entertaining. So yeah, and the animation was really great. So it was a good movie.
Are you in denial that the beast was a girl, or
no? But they call everything in the sea her. I feel like,
But you called it him.
Oh, did I?
You said it. Yeah.
Oh, well, same thing.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, man. This movie's quality for sure. It follows a fairly standard formula, I would say, and pacing for this genre. You've got your fantastical world. That's cool. That's sort of a riff on, historical things, but then spins it off, which is neat. It's got the goddamn cute pet sidekick that you always need to have. You know what I mean? So it's checking the boxes here. But yeah, I don't know. So it's not surprising in that way, but it's a compelling formula in my opinion, and it's done really well here. There's some really well-directed scenes for sure. I thought the opening action scene was quality stuff. I thought there was some really, really cool shots. Like they do that shot where they're on Jacob, and they do this 360 shot tracking action around. They come back to him. It's great. It's good stuff, So this was really well done. It's a pretty easy recommendation from me, I think. But Jaden has viewed this film before. He has rewatched it. One of many rewatches, perhaps, in his life. How do you feel about The Sea Beast?
No, I really like it. It's definitely I've always had in my mind, even last week when I recommended it, I was gonna say first thing I was gonna say is it's a familiar formula. It's a safe formula, but I think it's pulled off well. It's not too hard to predict, but it's not very easy to swallow as well. I think it looks great as well. I think a lot of the underwater scenes look stunning. The music is fantastic as well. Is something I took a bit more note of this time because I'm not just looking at pretty colors for kids. I don't know. It's quite a good story. It breezes by as well. It surprised me, because I watched it very late last night, and I was surprised that when things happen, when they got to the island, I thought that was very early in the film from memory, but it's about halfway through, bit less. So it breezes by. I think it's great. Yeah,
I agree with that too. Actually, just because I was sort of, I had the thing where I sometimes get where I'm not if I wasn't in the mood to watch a film, but I've got to watch it for the show. Sometimes I sort of do dread watching it just for that alone. I had the same thing where I was I'm not really in the mood for this, but I'll turn it on. And yeah, no, I had the same experience where I was just like, oh no, this is easy, this is fine. So yeah, I was actually, Jaden's already brought up the animation. He's a fan of it. It's always the natural place to start, isn't it? I wanted to pose the question though. This is a Netflix animation film. I immediately went to look up the studio that made this film because I never heard, like it's obviously a Netflix original film, but I never heard of a Netflix animation studio. And I was sort of just trying to think about how that translates to the budget and all that sort of thing. So I just wanted to pose the question, I guess, to you, Fitzy. How did you like the animation? But more specifically, did you feel that it was of a theatrical quality? Or was it something where it was like, oh, yeah, you can sort of see that this is a Netflix thing, you know? Because I imagine it didn't have the budget of a goddamn like Pixar movie, for example, you know?
Yeah, there are only some parts that felt like an actual, like other Netflix kids movies, like how they look visually, but for the most part it did look like distinct and like not cheap or anything. So yeah.
Yeah. No, I thought it looked really good. I was looking into. I've got right here. I didn't know Netflix Animation existed like as a brand or as a company or whatever you want to call it, a subdivision. I've got their filmography right here, but looking at it, they've done like tons of stuff you'll recognize, like Klaus, Over the Moon, and Back to the Outback. Some of the, like obviously they were produced Guillermo del Toro's Pinocchio as well, so things you've heard of for sure. But looking at the filmography, this is the only film where they are listed. Netflix Animation is listed as the only production company, so, which makes me think, because I'm looking here, there's other animation studios are listed with all of them.
Didn't they do a film with Ghibli? Earwig and the Witch or something? Is that a Netflix film?
Is that one here? Is that one here? And the Witch?
They might be trying to hide that one, to be honest.
Wait, why? Was it not good?
Yeah, I think so.
Oh, shit. No, I can't see that here, Jaden. But I think, so my point is, I think this is the first feature-length animated film that they made by themselves internally, with no just producer role or supporting or whatever. Like, this was their film from start to finish. So I think with that in mind, like, created from scratch by their artists and their team, like, it was pretty damn impressive. But Jane, what's going on with them right now? You said they're shutting them down? What's happening?
So they're canceling a bunch of their shows is what seems to be like the main culling.
Oh,
like like their adult animation, inside jobs and all that shit. And apparently they've been staging data to make it look like they're doing better than what they are. The main thing from this, it looks like the Gorillaz movie that they had is going away. For me, that's like my main thing. But like, yeah, it looks like they're cutting a lot. I can't find a 30% stock and plummet has driven this. Many animators have left the studio already.
Oh, okay.
So I guess that kind of pushed it along as well.
Okay.
But yeah, it looks like the animation department's getting big.
I see. Oh, that's a bummer. There is here. It says that there's a sequel to this film in development. So I don't know. I mean, that could never come out, but I guess at least they still plan to make more films as they did this one. But yeah, we'll see how that staffing stuff goes. But yeah, anyway, I was just interested in the history of them because I had no clue about any of that. So that was kind of cool. But what I will say is that I do think the film looks overall good. I have some reservations though. Like, I think the water is stunning. Love me some great looking water. I think everything, the scene that Jaden already mentioned where they go to the island, and that scene where they're on the beach and they're trying to they quote unquote have to fight Red, where they're like, the rope swinging, that shot where like the water comes up to tree level and rushes through, that's incredible. Like, that whole sequence was just gorgeous. But I don't know, I also do have some reservations about like the character models and the designs. Like, I don't know, to me it's fine. I don't want to make it sound like it's a criticism, but like the characters' faces just sort of like look very familiar. They just, I guess, the best to me, I thought of Cloudy with a Chance of Meatballs, but I'm sure there's other examples where those designs just look very similar, not necessarily standing out from the pack in the genre,
Yeah, that's honestly the main similarity between like other like basic animation films that I've seen. Like the character model of the girl, and then Jacob looking so much like Christoph was like the two things that kind of got me.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, that's true. So yeah, I don't know. Like, I guess it is a little bit of a letdown just because I do think the environments look so great, and there are some other great looking shots and things we can talk about. But it sort of just struck me looking at the characters that like this just looks like it's funny that we just talked about it being a new studio making this film for the first time. You'd think just looking at it that, oh yeah, this is like I've seen 12 other films from the studio because they all look the same. You know what I mean? But you haven't. So that's sort of what's a little bit weird about it in that respect. So that's my only comment there. But Jane, you already mentioned that you like the beast designs, hey? You're a fan?
No, I think Liam's the one that mentioned.
Oh,
Red
for
looked
fuck's
cool.
sake, I hate when I do that. I'm so sorry. But what did you think of the beast designs then, Jaden, though?
I really liked him. I'm gonna I think Red's like Wally's favorite one. I think it's the least interesting.
I agree with that. Yeah.
But like those crab things, those little orange things, you know, even blue, or even that one that they killed at the start. Like I think they're all interesting and varied. It's just that Red is a bit plain.
Yeah.
But I quite like the sea beast design.
What about you, Fitz? You care to expand? And apologies.
Well, my mom seemed to think, and she wanted me to say this, that the red looked like a kid drew it. Like she thought she liked the red, but it kind of it was very simple, you know.
Yeah.
But I found, I mean, the other beast designs were cool. I just found Red's like specific look that he always has like really funny. Like me and we were cracking up at that fucking look.
The expressions.
It was so funny to me. Yeah, the way he just like looked down. Yeah, like even on the poster, you just like looking down.
He is looking down. Well, she is. God damn it. Now I'm doing it. Yeah, she is always looking down. Yeah, that's totally true. Now, that is worth pointing out, actually, because Red's expressions and expressiveness definitely creates some good comedy and some good drama, too, actually, in the film, I would say. In some of the more dramatic moments when, you know, she has some intense scenes where she's like, I feel like, I don't know, Red, you're delivering quite a good dramatic performance here, you know what I mean?
Well, that's probably why you couldn't hide that. Like, you couldn't hide the expression behind, like, horns and tails and all that shit, probably. It's probably why you kind of strip it back.
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, strip it back so it emotionally resonates better. Yeah, that's a good point. I'm not going to lie, though. I did, when I saw Red, I felt like, did she not look pretty similar? Like, I don't know, I was seeing it, like, in the face to the dragon from Shrek.
No.
I don't know who the dragon from Shrek is. Isn't she a girl, too? She's like I feel like it's sort of similar. No?
Oh, no. I just thought of, like, the How to Train Your Dragon. I thought you were going to mention that.
Toothless. Like, if Toothless were red. Oh, yeah, I can sort of see that, too.
I think the same way that they animate Toothless expressions is similar to that of Red.
Oh,
yeah, there's a lot of emphasis on the eyes. Yeah. And they've sort of got the same sort of rounded face. Yeah. Okay, that's a good point. Yeah, I like that. But then I really liked the design. My favorite was the dude from the start, the green dude.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was definitely my favorite. And then, I thought the yellow walrus was adorable as well. So, yeah, big fan of that. And in terms of blue, first of all, Fitzy, blue, yay or nay? Not the colour, the character. Yay or nay?
Yeah.
Hesitant yay? What about you, Jane?
Yeah, fucking all the way. What's there to debate?
I'm a yay. Blue's cute, but like, like we said, it does sort of, it does feel like a bit of a checkbox character to include. But no, he is really cute, and I must say, like, I don't know. I feel like if this weren't a Netflix film, like, okay, what's a good analogy? I feel like if Blue were a new character in like Frozen 3, for example, Blue would be everywhere. Blue would be like, every kid would have a bloody blue goddamn teddy bear. You know what I mean? Because he's just that adorable. Like, I see mass marketing when I see Blue. You know what I mean? But I just feel like because this is a Netflix film, like no one's going to remember Blue in 5 years. I hope I'm wrong.
Well, if they're able to successfully franchise it, then that won't be an issue.
No, yeah, but even though it's been like 8 months since, like I'd never seen him.
Oh yeah, fair enough.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I mean,
Hmm.
I know I'm not necessarily the market, but like even I don't know. I feel like if this were a Disney thing, like I would see Blue in Target or something.
Mm.
But yeah, I feel like there's potential there. Come on, Netflix. But yeah, no, there's just some really cool shots and imagery in the film. I think overall, particularly a standout one to me was probably when they were chilling underwater and the storm was above them. Just the quiet of the scene, and it was really nice. It was really pretty. Yeah. Any standouts for you, Jaden?
Aside from like the water things, I quite like some of the shots of the kingdom at the end, especially like that. They're like that establishing kind of overhead. We kind of get like the
for sure
the canals of it and shit.
Yeah, that looked like if I saw that image, I'd be like, that's fantastic fantasy concept art. Like, yeah, it had that sort of vibe to it. I really liked as well. Any standouts for you, Fitzy, at all?
I don't know. Just like the animation at the start is pretty cool with in the battle. Yeah. It's pretty strong throughout there. So
Yeah, for sure. No, I really liked the capital city as well. And that is one thing that I've already brought up that these films do when they create these sort of fantasy worlds. And I'm a big fan of that overall. Like that's one of the main reasons I always get excited for like new Pixar IPs, because I'm like, oh, what cool world are they going to create next? Like I really like Onward's world, and you could go on and on. So like just getting introduced to the setting they created for this is really cool. I really like the time period and the aesthetic, sort of taking, I don't know, what's the best description of it? Like, I don't know, you could just say pirates. I feel like there's a better term for it. But like that pirate aesthetic and time period, like 1700s piracy time, but then sort of modernizing it. Like, I think the film is noticeably diverse in a cool way. Like, there's female characters, black characters everywhere. Like the general of the army is a chick. I think that's cool though. Like, it adds this, I don't know, it adds this modern element to it that, like, it makes it obviously not stand out as historical, but then I feel like sort of blends well with all the crazy beasts and shit as well. Like, it just, I don't know, it's a cool, and the city's obviously not necessarily
women in
realistic
charge
looking.
is as crazy as beasts in the ocean.
Well, it is in 1700s piracy.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So, like, I don't know. I feel like there was some cool choices made that made me think, oh yeah, this is a well realized world for sure. It's also quite low key, violent and mature at times as well. Like they don't shy away from like people drinking alcohol in this movie. You know what I mean? They don't like try and make that kiddie or anything like that. So I thought that was cool. And I don't know, it's sort of just being immersed in it for a little while sort of made me just want to rewatch Black Sails. Not that the maturity level's anywhere close.
Is this the pirate content that you've been craving ever since the end of Black Sails?
It's sort of, I'm not going to lie, like, I don't want to say yes to that, but it scratched a bit of an itch there for me, yeah. So, no, I thought that was really cool. I don't know, was it something that stood out for you at all, Fitzy, or anything to do with the world or the aesthetic or whatever?
No, it's pretty cool, but it didn't feel like a fantasy world, but yeah. I think I get what you're saying.
I guess it's like a fantasy hybrid world. I don't know. Is that what you'd say?
Yeah.
Because I'm pretty sure there weren't actual sea beasts.
In real life?
I don't think so. Correct me if I'm wrong.
Hey, our history books could have been manipulated.
It's true. Yeah. It's true. Atlantis was real, guys. It was. So yeah, very, very good. Jan, you brought up the score already on a rewatch. What did you get out of it?
I just think like it was obviously it was pretty in tune with like your pirate music and your shanties and your fun stuff. But I think what struck me pretty early on was I think it was in that opening battle, like it, like the kind of like dramatic kind of overture kind of, it was quite good. And like I think this is something I like, like last week when I was talking about, like, once you watch bad movies you start to appreciate like bad movies. And something I noticed in Fast and Furious is like the score is generic in Fast and Furious, but like it's actually got a decent. It like it serves its purpose, and like in its kind of action, and it. This was better than the Fast and Furious music, but like it kind of just reminded me of that, and like I think like the music when it needed to, it served its function really well.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. The only trivia I have here is that the composer was Mark Mark Mancina, I think. And he worked on such films as Tarzan, Brother Bear. Isn't that a favourite of yours, Fitzy, as a kid?
No,
did I
that's
make that up?
Luke. I think that's Luke.
That's Luke.
But Luke likes Brother Bear because of Phil Collins, not because of Mark Mancini.
Mark Mancina. I don't know. We should ask him. And most notably, Moana as well. Do you guys like Moana, by the way?
I haven't seen it.
You okay in it? Yeah, mid.
It's all right.
Yeah.
It's 6.
So anyway, he did the music, and the director was the same director as Moana too. So obviously, he came over from Disney to Netflix. I wonder if he's still there now. I don't know. After what we talked about, but I mean, yeah, no, I thought the score was really, really good. It stood out to me as, I don't know, like just as strong a contributor as some of the visuals and things. I thought that scene where they there's like the little is it called like a whirlpool? I said whirlwind, but like the whirlpools, like that scene, dude. They do some. Old mate Mark out here is trying to do some Dunkirk stuff in that scene. He does he inserts a little. He inserts a ticking.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
I'm like, dude, I'm down for this shit. This is cool. And there's also, I mean, the music was great all around, but then another specific moment that stood out to me, it was right at the end when Red was charging at Captain Crow, like in that little, I don't know, lake area in the middle of the city. Like there was some pretty intense music there too that I really liked. So shout out to Mark and the score. Jen brought up that, and as we've established, correct me if I'm just totally make up who said it, by the way. Correct me if Jane did not say this, but I'm pretty sure Jane said that the film has the score had some dramatic heft to it. And I sort of felt the same way about the story. And that was one of the things that I walked away a little bit surprised about, in a very positive way. It was just, I feel like the story had some weight, like just as it played out. Like right when I thought, it's weird because like looking at it in retrospect, it does follow a formula. It doesn't necessarily blow your mind. Like there's no I don't want to say there's crazy twists in the film or anything quite that crazy, but it does, as it progresses, it does subvert in little ways and does just keep you engaged throughout. I think like right when I thought the film, I think sort of in the transition to the third act, when they're on that weird little island and they encounter the goddamn Navy ship with all the cannons. Like I thought it was pretty straightforward that it was building to some sort of final battle with Red and the other ship, because then the inevitable was coming in, and I thought, oh, okay, here we go. Here's our third act battle sequence or whatever. And that, I was just totally wrong about that. You know, like that sequence sort of ends pretty quick. Red gets sort of wrecked, and then they go back to the city, and then they have this more emotional conflict with Maisie and stuff in the boat, and she escapes. Like it sort of just kept playing out in a way that was keeping me fairly engaged in it, I thought. So, and I don't know, this has some really good moments, I think, as well. Like when one of the main ones actually was a standout was the first time they do the comedy bit where Jacob like can't snap the spear with his knee. I'm like I think that's pretty funny, but like it's definitely some of the more low age humor that we get, right? But then when they bring it back and make it a dramatic moment, I'm like, that's great. That's smart. I'm a big fan of that. So that was something that definitely impressed me in the script, that they had the thought and the hindsight to do that. So yeah, it's got some cool themes too. But I don't know, like, Jaden, would you say that the story was keeping you engaged throughout?
Yeah, I think Macy's monologue is at the end is really solid.
Oh yeah.
Because like at the surface, like I say, it's a obvious movie that, don't judge by the surface or whatever. But like, I think that kind of final, delivery of information, it kind of, it expands on themes about like, rewriting history and, just like it's still along the same lines of, who are the actual bad guys, by like look.
Yeah.
But I think it just makes it a bit more mature with like towards the and towards the point end of the film, which I quite liked.
Yeah, I agree, and I feel like a contributor to that is that the world's history is interesting and it feels lived in. I think, like, and it cleverly sort of uses its world and some imagery to like enforce that theme, as because you're right. Like when you say it like that, it does sound, oh yeah, that sounds about right. Prejudice, all those things. But like, I think a really, really cool thing that they did that stood out to me going back to the cool imagery, was I thought it was really cool seeing when they befriend Red and they get on her back and they do the Life of Pi segment on her back. But you get up there and she's got all the spears stuck in her back, which have presumably been there for years, possibly decades, with these spears stuck in her back, and she obviously can't do anything about it. And I just thought that was a really striking visual, that like an emotional beat where they have to go and pull them all out, of like nailing thematically what the film's going for, like, but in a really just obvious way right in front of me that works and makes me feel bad for her and feel bad for this never-ending conflict that's been, everyone talks about, it's been going on for years and decades. And that's another lineage, is sort of another theme in the film, where everyone's parents and grandparents have been doing the same thing forever, which is sort of another motivator for the villain as well. So like it all ties together quite nicely, I think. And yeah, I don't know, there's nothing more to say than it takes a theme that's fairly straightforward, and I think executes it really well in the context of its world and everything. Yeah. And I think the same goes for like how the characters complement that. Like, I don't know about you, Fitzy, but like I was surprised at them. Like, I feel like Red had an arc in this movie. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I think that's kind of cool. Like, I feel like typically the animal character is the passive, I don't know, sympathy device, I guess, where the humans are the ones that grow and realize what they're doing is wrong and sort of bounce off of that. But like in this movie, like Red has complete agency in the film. Red is a character in the film beyond just being a sentient beast. She makes her own choices and wants revenge for herself. And, you know, it's not just about the humans wanting this conflict to go on and judging the beasts. It goes the other way too. So I thought that was quite an interesting take on it, you know?
Sure. Yes.
I guess that goes back to why it was just cool that Red was so emotive and stuff. Like Red really was a well-realized character. Yeah. I was, and I'm glad it sort of made that it came around that way for me, because at first, when they were in the first battle with the first beast, which we liked the look of, in that battle, it wasn't specifically obvious that this film at that point to me was going to take a sympathetic route to the beasts. Like, I didn't know anything about this film. So like for me, I'm just like, oh, is this just going to be a really well done like action adventure film where they take out beasts? I don't know. And then there's only little glimmers. I think like sort of right towards the end of that battle, you get like a shot of that green beast. They do like a shot of its close up of its eyes. And it's not even super obvious. Like they're not, at that point, they're not going hard on like this poor guy. They just do a little shot where they just focus on its eyes and it's not overly emotional or anything. But it was only then that I sort of started to trigger, I think they are going to go this route eventually. And then it definitely did. And it felt earned. It didn't feel like it was just obvious by 3 minutes into this movie, oh yeah, I know where this is going, because of course we're going to have to care for the animals, you know. So yeah, another example of it being good, I think.
I can't recall if I did watch the trailer, but I think I always knew it was going down that path.
I imagine you would know if you watched the trailer. I
can't recall if I can. Yeah.
But another character was cool. Like, I mean, is there much to say about Jacob? Karl Urban was great. He's a pretty standard pro tag.
Well, yeah. I mean, like he's an archetype by every stretch of the word, but like,
yeah,
you know, I think they're still solid.
Yeah, it works. Yeah. He had his own little Pedro Pascal arc in there where he had to, you know, had to adopt a daughter. So, I mean, that was kind of cool, I guess. But I think the standout character for me was Crow, Captain Crow, who's, I mean, the villain, but with all these good, when an animated film is good, in my opinion, it's like, yeah, he's the villain, but is he really, sort of thing? So I sort of liked him. Like, his story tied in well with what I've been going on about with the themes. Like, you really get the sense that lineage is important to him. He wants to pass on it talks about passing the mantle on of the captain of the inevitable to Jacob, but he's been at it for a long time. He's desperate to finish this job. He feels like the world is passing him by. He's running out of time, all these things, which make him desperate and make him do the thing where he goes and, I don't know, I guess makes the deal with the weird witch lady and goes for the poisonous weapon. So like all that stuff I was really into him. But I wanted to ask, I don't know how I feel about his ending. You know, like did you guys feel the moment was earned when he puts down his sword at the end? Because to me, I feel like there's some more resolution potentially there, but yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, it's been like an afterthought, I guess. Like him putting the sword down after they resolve
Right.
all the other things. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a good way to put it. Yeah, I feel like all the other character journeys came around full circle. And I liked his right until the end. Like, I feel like him dropping the sword and just putting it down when Red chooses not to attack him, and that's good and that's really solid stuff for Red as a character. But then when he just drops his sword, I don't know, like it sort of just felt like a bit convenient, a bit, let's just wrap this up, because he went all in on this. Like, he was desperate to kill her, and that's sort of his whole thing. And then, I don't know, like I just never really saw a reason why he would come around in the end that strongly. Like, I feel like it would have been a more interesting ending if, I don't know, like he's still clearly aggressive and still, but like he loses everything. You know what I mean? Like he loses his crew, he loses his opportunity as captain and all that sort of thing. But he's still sort of hateful towards the beasts themselves. And then, I don't know, I feel like it came around a bit too clean for him.
We need an extra half an hour just to deal with him.
I need a sequel series.
I feel like his ending probably is harmed by the fact that, at the end of the day, you're making a kids film and you don't want to stretch you're making a kids animated film as well. You don't want to stretch the timing too much.
Yeah,
you need to kind of need to wrap things up in a way. Something is always going to be unsatisfying, I feel.
That's true. That's true. And Zach also doesn't need to be constantly like writing things in his head like he's planning Black Sail season 5. You know what I mean? Things can just end, Zach. It's okay.
How do I work the Captain Crow cameo into the Treasure Island story?
Yeah. This is working out the timeline. This is before Treasure Island, 20 years before. Yeah, I'm trying to do all that shit. But yeah, that was my only observation. But I did think Jared Harris played him quite well. And I say that just because the accents are the best, dude. Are you kidding me? Dude, I love me some good accents. It's great. You got something in your ears.
What accent is Karl Urban doing? Because I mean, he's
doing his boy's accent.
He sounds pretty normal and like yeah, right. It's his boy's accent, and I'm like, it feels right though. I mean, like,
yeah,
it's
weird.
Yeah. He sounds Kiwi, right, in real life?
He does.
He sounds full Kiwi.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess he would just be doing that then. Yeah.
But I was like, it sounds like the boys, but with like a touch more Kiwi to me, you know.
Like he didn't sound 100% like the boys.
He wasn't 100% butcher, but they don't say R.
No, clearly not.
Mm.
No, that's correct. They do just about have every other pirate archetype though. You've got the chick with one leg. You've got the eye patch. No parrot though.
You got the code.
The code, yeah, the code.
You got a piper on the ship.
Oh yeah. I forgot about him. Yeah, he was there. Yeah. So no R's and no parrots. That was probably I mean, they're probably the two most egregious ones, but then they did everything else. So yeah, good for them.
Well, they're not pirates. They're hunters.
Oh yeah. Oh well, yeah. All right, bro. Oh, I had a note about the ending. It feels weird to bring it up now because I feel like I should have brought it up when I was ranting earlier. But I will say that I thought the ending was nice. It was fast. It was happy in terms of just like the actual final minute.
Yeah.
In terms of like this idea of who needs adventure and conflict for life to be satisfying, and that's something that the film does talk about throughout. The inevitability of death in this life as a hunter is a theme throughout. Everyone's gonna die, all the like Maisie's parents are dead and so on, and just sort of posing the question if that's worth it. And the film ultimately, I think, satisfyingly, with those cool visuals of hanging out in a home I'd like to live in that little shack place, which was neat, the film ultimately comes to the conclusion that no, it's not. And I thought that was quite nice. Yeah.
Do you, for a Sea Beast 2, do you see it taking any route other than a Dragons 2 route where like there is an evil Sea Beast? There's an evil mega sea beast that the sea beast and the humans need to gang up on.
No, that's actually exactly what it's going to be.
Yeah.
That's a great point. Oh, I don't remember the Dragons films, but they do that?
Yeah, in Dragons 2, there's like the alpha dragon in like the mountain where like all the dragons like obey it. And then in Dragons 3, there's like a few alpha dragons, I think.
Oh, okay. So Sea Beast 3, we know where that one's going too.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Okay, that's cool. I must say though that they do have that final shot where, like the final few seconds where like they focus on Red like swimming away. Like the film in the end didn't necessarily focus on a complete reconciliation, I would say, between the two sides. You know, so I don't know. Like just to play devil's advocate, maybe they want to focus on that a bit more as opposed to like let's team up. Yeah, no, they'll probably team up. Let's be honest. Oh, okay. No, actually, dumb Zach question time. How did they? I think I blinked and I missed a shot. How did they hang out in Red's nostril?
Oh, that's one thing that annoyed the fuck out of me.
I think it was just movie shit, man.
Yeah.
Like, it's just
No, because I swear to God, when they first do it, they do have a. I think there's meant to be something there because they do the thing where like they're fine underwater and then when they come up. I thought I might have missed a shot where something happens where like the nostril opens, like there's like a glass shield there or some shit, and then it opens, and then because then they get blown out.
I don't know. Just assume there's like a mucus bubble.
I don't know.
Right, like I honestly thought like it would have been that, or you guys were going to say that, but I'm glad you guys didn't get it too. Okay, that's fine. That's fine.
When they did the whole "we're in the whale's mouth" thing, I like started wondering like, what was the first film that did this? You know. Because there's in so many films, in Nemo and all this.
Yeah.
And it was in the new Pinocchio because...
It's in the original Pinocchio.
Yeah, it was in the original Pinocchio, is what I found out. So that must be one of the earliest ones.
That could be it.
Yeah.
I don't know.
It could just be like... It could have just started like in Nemo as like a reference to that. So...
Yeah. All right, let's get to our final verdicts for The Sea Beast. Liam.
I'm going to give it a... The C7. Yeah. 7.
The 7 C's. Is that what you were trying to do?
Yeah,
I don't know. Yeah. Okay. I'll also give it an easy 7. This was this film probably the easiest score I've ever given. It's a 7. Definitely recommend it. It's a good watch. What about you, Jaden?
So I've got it at a 7, but I think I might actually pump it up to an 8 due to how easy the rewatch is, considering.
Yeah.
Like I just feel like I had to look back at my diary. I watched this on in December, and like 2 months later, I'm fine rewatching it. So I think for that quality alone, like it's feelings haven't changed, but due to that, pump it up 1.
Yeah, no, that's a great point too. Because I must say, like on paper, this isn't a film I would rewatch, but like I'm sure if I were to, it'd be great. And I could follow the same logic for sure. All right, let's get into news chat. Where should we start? We can start with this Lord of the Rings news. Warner Brothers going ahead. This is official from David Zaslav, who's the CEO of Warner Brothers Discovery now, on their earnings call. They are greenlighting Lord of the Rings film projects under New Line Cinema once again. The original, I don't know, they weren't owned by Warner Brothers originally, right? Do you know, Jen? I don't think so.
I'm not sure.
Because they originally financed the films, and that's the whole story about how those films got made, and it's pretty crazy, and they made the big gamble on it. I don't think at the time they were owned by Warner Brothers. Now they are, but they still exist, so they'll work through that banner to do these films. That's really all we know. This guy, David Zaslav, I must say, he was also in the news a couple of weeks ago. He's quite vocal since he's come in, about going back to the well of their franchises. He's very vocal. Some reports are that he's all about making more Harry Potter movies, like more real Harry Potter movies, like Harry Potter and the Cursed Child being a film with the original cast is like one of his main priorities apparently right now.
Oh, you got to wait another
he wants that shit to happen.
6 years.
I don't think he gives a shit. I think he wants that shit to happen. So we see it sort of happening with Harry Potter for him, Lord of the Rings for him. He's really wanting to go back to the well here. I don't know. Do you have any thoughts, Jan? Take it however you want. Lord of the Rings, the whole thing, whatever.
I've been liking Rings of Power from what I've seen. I've only seen 4 episodes, but from what I've seen, I've really liked it. I know people don't, but I really liked it. So like this need to preserve the traditional story and all that in terms of Lord of the Rings, I don't really care for.
Yeah.
I like Hobbit a lot. I guess I just still connect to the original story, but like,
less so.
Middle Earth is massive. I mean, any universe is massive. You dictate the size of it. So I mean, they can tell however many stories they need. but I'm not going to complain about more, traditional stories of Lord of the Rings. The Harry Potter one is Cursed Child's so ass, man. It never needs to be touched. It never needs to be touched.
I think it's going to be though, right? I think so.
It'll be the worst Harry Potter movie made.
Probably.
I know. Yeah, I can't stand the Cursed Child story. Is the moral? So, man,
I can't say I blame you. Yeah, I mean, I don't hate it or anything, but it's definitely the weakest. I think. I don't know. I enjoyed it as like it was sort of fun to go back to the characters 20 years later and get this weird sort of fan fiction-y thing. Like, I didn't view it as like a core story. So, like, I enjoyed it for what it was. But yeah, I mean, I can't disagree with any actual criticisms of it for sure. But yeah, I do see that as happening in the future, us getting that film. What do you think about this, 50 dudes? Yeah, you haven't watched Rings of Power, right? Because this would have nothing to do with Amazon, to be clear. Because the IP is now owned by Embracer Group, which is the weirdest, most random thing of all time. So the IP can really go to whoever wants to license it at this point, whoever's willing to pay for it and who they want to give it to. So film rights go back to New Line for this. Amazon can presumably keep doing what they're doing anyway.
Yeah, I'd watch other movies, Lord of the Rings movies, but I'm not sure. Because I haven't watched the show yet, so... I did say I'd watch a show, but I didn't get on that. But we'll see, I guess.
Yeah. I suppose they would be... I mean, they can literally do anything, as Jaden said, but like I would imagine like they could be a prequel films set somewhere else. Like, I don't know, even just less back than Rings of Power, but more forward than... You know what I mean? Something like that. I don't know what they could do. They could really do anything. So, yeah. I mean, at this point, the projects are moving forward, but like, this is very much a case where the project came before the story. Like, David wants Lord of the Rings movies, and then they'll figure out what the hell the story's going to be. It's not the other way around.
What would you do about casting? Like, if you want to use a young Galadriel again, would you use Morvid Clark, or like, would you have to cast someone else?
I don't even know I don't know if you could. I don't know. But I think that's a question you'd have to ask if they even can do that.
Right.
I imagine they just want to stay clear of those characters. But yeah, I guess that's probably what they're figuring out right now as we speak. What they want to do with that sort of thing.
Yeah, right now, it's, 8 p.m. in LA. They're at a round table.
100%.
Like, people, like, guys are going to be talking about this. We need to figure it out.
Yeah, Peter Jackson's on Zoom.
Yeah.
That was one thing, actually, I didn't say that. Apparently Peter Jackson, like, he's not involved yet, but they're like, he's aware and they're keeping tabs with him to see if he wants to maybe consider doing it. So he's in the loop, I guess would be the correct phrasing. All right. Yeah, so I had the news that Avatar is now the third highest grossing film of all time. Jan brought that up earlier. How much does that trigger you?
It doesn't trigger me. It just shocks me. Like pre-release, we're all taking shots at, we're taking stabs at how much it's going to make. I think I said it's going to make 1.5, 1.7 at a maximum, I think is what I was saying. I was even lower than you. Yeah. I was like, it's never going to reach that 2 billion mark. But fucking lo and behold.
I was totally wrong. 100%. Yeah. I was so wrong.
Third biggest film. Yeah.
I think I was talking about it with Fitzy. And I think if I remember, I think I was in the realm of like 1.5 and it's bloody smashed it. So good for you, James. No one
who's still watching this movie though? Who's still, where's
China? I don't know.
Is it? Is that where the release is at the moment?
I guess.
Like Australia's lost all its kind of interest in it. I'd say
it was going for it was still there when I was looking at Magic Mike tickets.
Well, it's still showing, but I don't think it's being viewed massively. Like, do you reckon?
I don't know. Yeah? I don't know. Well, I mean, people.
I mean, I guess
it's being shown. I don't know
if there's still a lot of sessions. I guess, yeah.
I guess, yeah. I don't know. It's pretty crazy to me too. Yeah, I totally agree with that. But hey, I mean, I guess the old adage of never doubt James Cameron continues to live on, and I presume it will continue to live on. It's pretty crazy. I know when I watched a lot of James Cameron interviews before the film came out, and he wasn't sure if this film was going to be a success. He was very clear that. Multiple times he said, if Disney gives us the chance to make more. Like, this was not a surefire hit in his mind, just based on, I know he made those comments about the budget being extreme and like those were sort of wrong and he sort of walked those back a little bit. But like he had doubt that this wasn't going to work. And
safest job in the world must be financing James Cameron movies. Because you can, return on that.
I mean, the success rate is undeniable. So 100%. Yeah. So, I mean, obviously, they're moving forward with the others, which are already shot. So, I don't know. Like, you can't deny James Cameron when he's made 2 original films from his own mind that the highest grossing films of all time. It's pretty cool.
I mean, original films. I mean, Dances with Wolves.
Oh. yeah. What's the other one? Pocahontas or whatever.
Yeah.
All those.
That
The
one
Bad
episode
Batch-
of
the Bad Batch episode 6 or whatever it was. Yeah. All right, Fitzy, I've only got one little more news story for you.
Okay.
Little more news story? That's not grammatically correct. I want your live reaction right now. You might have heard it already, in which case I'll be embarrassed, but I'm gonna say it. All right, are you ready?
Okay.
Succession season 4 is the last season, confirmed.
Ooh, that's
It
good.
is ending. You happy about that?
Yeah. I think you can't really do any, like, it feels right, so.
Yeah. I mean, I trust it's. I mean, it's always good to hear when a show runner, like, I've read this whole Jesse Armstrong quote today about how he's like, they felt it was right, and if he feels it's right, then what the fuck am I to tell you that you're not right? So he's never let me down yet. So yeah, no, I mean, I'm just more happy in the fact that they're confident in their decision, which means I'm confident that the show will be good. So that's fine. But I must admit, though, I was surprised by the news, just because usually I feel like we know when a show's going to be the final season, sort of like before this. Like, the show's coming out in a few weeks, it's done, and we're only now knowing it's going to be the final season. Like, I feel like we know it ahead of time, earlier than this. So I'm surprised by it in that sense. And I am also sort of just a little bit bummed because I friggin' love Succession. But, other than that,
Yeah, but it's going to be hype,
it's going to be high. If anything, it just increases my excitement for the season.
Yeah.
So that's always good. And now episode's going to be like, it's going to be like the whole series now. We know for sure it's going to be done. Wow, that's crazy. All right. Okay, now it's time for our highlights of the week. Jaden, what have you been watching?
I watched this detective thriller. 2 of them, starring Morgan Freeman. They're based on some Jack character made by some famous crime author. I can't recall at the moment.
Jack Ryan?
No.
Jack Reacher?
No, hold on, I'll find it because it's going to piss me off now.
We'll get there.
Jack Adam.
It's not Tom Clancy, right?
No.
But this is a long came a spider. Is these right? And does it have a sequel?
Yeah, so the first one's called Kiss the Girls, and then Along Came a Spider is the second one in the series.
I had no idea.
Yeah, I'd only ever heard of Along Came a Spider, and then like when I was watching it, yeah, is when that came up. Why the fuck can't I find it? Oh, Alex Cross. Fuck, I'm a dickhead. Alex Cross. Not
Alex
Jack.
Cross. Never heard of it.
Who's the writer? James
So
Patterson.
Oh,
You-
okay.
You know James Patterson. Oh, that's right.
I don't.
His fucking books are everywhere, man.
Is that who Morgan Freeman plays?
Yeah, so Morgan Freeman plays Alex Cross, this
Okay.
psychologist and detective. First one's really solid. Kiss the Girls is a really solid like detective thriller, like heavily inspired by your 90s, Silence of the Lambs and Seven and all that shit. It's definitely of a more schlocky kind of quality that you kind of saw move, like as you kind of like. I don't really know how to describe it, but like I feel like some of those like that genre kind of lost some of its not credibility, but some of its weight as you kind of moved into the 2000s, and you got more films like Mindhunters, the Rennie Harlan one, not this Netflix series. So you kind of still got these detective thrillers, but they had a bit more of that kind of whimsical or kind of like that bit more schlock. I don't know what word to use other than schlock. Schlock's nice,
Yeah.
Um,
It's actually a terrible word, but yeah, I get what you mean.
But yeah, no. So Kiss the Girl is pretty decent, but Along Came a Spider was dog shit, to be honest. Pretty wank.
There you go, 5 and it's a wank, yeah.
Yeah.
Nice.
And then that was the death of the series until 2012, where they rebooted it with a different guy playing Alex Cross. But
Wait, what? Did they?
yeah.
Was this a big budget film I would have heard of?
I don't think so. I think Tyler Perry played Alex Cross, if I'm correct.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that's all I would say. Yeah.
Okay, yeah, cool. Just making sure. Very nice, very nice. So I we finished this Apple TV Plus show known as Shantara, which starring Charlie Hunnam. It's based on this book that's semi-autobiographical, apparently. It's essentially about this. It's in the 1980s, and it's about this Australian guy who escapes prison. I don't know, like, how much of it is actually real. Like, I don't know, it's semi, so I don't know, like, exactly. But I assume it's that part is mostly right. The Australian guy who escapes prison, escapes overseas, sort of gets into escapades with criminal organizations in India, is where this first season ends. It's fine. I struggled with some aspects of it, and then there's some other aspects of it I appreciate. Charlie Hunnam is in this show doing his very best with an Australian accent, and it's pretty good. It's sort of odd, though. Like, I watched Charlie Hunnam for like 80 hours on Sons of Anarchy. So, like, I can't necessarily say his accent's bad, but I just always hear him in it. Like, it's sort of the best way I would describe it. Like, it's pretty, if you were to listen to it, you'd be like, oh yeah, his pronunciation of words is fine. Like, he's clearly studied his craft there, but I don't know, like, his cadence comes through as just, oh my God, it's just Charlie Hunnam. Like, it's weird. I don't know. But in terms of, he is the strongest part of the show, though. I like Charlie Hunnam a lot. He is a strong actor in the show. The character's quite strong. If you look at the synopsis of the book, it's like this old mate escapes prison on his journey to redemption and to right the wrongs of his past. And that's sort of the core of his arc in the show. And that stuff is good. I like that a lot. I think some of the dialogue's solid in that department. Where the show just gets totally bogged down, it's another one of these victims of something I've talked about before where, dude, these shows are way too long, dude. This season was 12 episodes long, and it had no right being 12 episodes long. It should have been 6. Seriously, like, it was twice as long as it needed to be, bogged down in subplot after subplot after and so many pointless characters being introduced, and like the variety in, wow, I really like Charlie's story too. Who the fuck is this and why are you still on my screen? Is like, that is the range we're talking about here in this show overall. It's pretty messy. And I must say, the most disappointing thing I probably should have just gotten out of the way at the start was that this show, after 12 episodes, 12 one-hour episodes, ends with to be continued. And this shit got cancelled, dude. So it felt like it was rubbing it in my face. Well, like, I did know it was cancelled before we finished it. Not when I started it, but before I finished it, I knew it was cancelled. And like, what modern drama these days ends with literally, like, I'm shitting you not, ends with cut to black to be continued? What is this? Some sort of like CW show? And I don't know. Like, I feel like it was rubbing it in my face. Like, no show does that? And this show did it. And it of all shows, of course, gets cancelled. So yeah, it just, in terms of where the story goes, like, I've read a little bit about where the book goes after this, and it does sound, it sounds kind of interesting. Like, the story is quite more expansive than we even get in this season, because he goes to like way more countries and does way more shit and stuff. And I'm just it sort of just left me like, it sounds like this way too long season gave us like 15% of the book by the sounds of it, when I feel like you could have just done, I haven't read the book, so I don't want to say exactly how long it should be, but it sounds like in this 12 episode time, you could have done a mini series and covered the whole book, or at least maybe, at least include more of the book, so then more people are interested in it, and therefore it gets a second season at the very least, or something. Like, clearly a bad decision was made at some point to include the showrunner, whoever, thought it would be a good idea that this could be 6 seasons long, and they were going to make X% of the book this whole first season. And it was a bad decision, because it's bloated for sure. So yeah, I would not recommend it for that reason. It's a slog, but there's good stuff in there, and it's just another example. And the production value is really good, by the way. Like, everything looks great in the show. Like, it takes place in these Indian cities in the 80s, and it's like the realization of the time period's really good stuff. So this shit had budget, no doubt. It's just a shame to see it go to waste on something that could have been better, I don't know, better distributed in a way that was going to, timing-wise, just work out a lot better, I think. So yeah, I don't know. Left a sour taste in my mouth, but there's some stuff to like, I think. Don't know if you guys have even heard of it, by the way.
I think you've mentioned it before. I think that was like my first time hearing it, though.
Okay.
Like through you.
Okay.
I watched To Leslie, which is a film that kind of got hyped on actors' recommendations for the Oscars. And it was pretty good. The performance of, I think it's Andrea Riseborough. I've actually seen her in a few things, and she's pretty great.
She was in the Phantom, the fucking dressmaking one with Paul Thomas Anderson, wasn't she?
Phantom Thread.
Phantom Thread.
Was she?
Yeah,
Really?
I
No,
swear
I don't
she
think so.
was. I swear she was. Was she not?
I know her from Oblivion, personally.
Was she not like his partner in that?
The sister.
No.
Yeah, the sister. Yeah, who
No,
was the
no,
sister?
that's someone else.
No, was it? Ah, shit.
Oh, she was obviously the wife in Birdman, but she was in. Oh, Possessor was the main thing. She was pretty good in that as well. But yeah, the movie's pretty good. It's pretty slow, pretty. She's just kind of I don't know. She plays a pretty unstable character, who's like kind of like very selfish, and she won the lottery, and has a lot of like regret and stuff. So the film's kind of about redemption, and it does kind of just win you over the longer it goes. Mark Maron, he's in it. And he's that kind of the guy who like gives her a chance, kind of. So yeah, it's a nice movie. I enjoyed it.
Now comes the segment where we hand the show over to you with our question of the show. Last week we asked you, what is your most awkward cinema experience that you've had, cinema going experience in your life? Now, guys, how do we want to approach this? I'm sure you've seen potentially that Andy has a bedtime story for us that I'm going to have to read.
Really?
Yeah, so do I just read it or should we answer first? So everyone can leave if they want. No, that's terrible.
No, hold on. Didn't Spooky put something in the Discord as well?
Yeah, he did, but I'm just saying, do we answer first and then I read the answers or the others?
Yeah, I know. It's up to you. Whatever you want.
Nah, fuck it, whatever. I'll just do it like normal.
Yeah.
Everyone strap in. If you don't like Andy's story after a few paragraphs, I don't know, skip 5 minutes or something. I don't know how long it's going to take. But anyway, Luke said, update. This was in the Discord. Luke didn't have an answer for this, but then update. I have an answer now. I was stuck in town today waiting for my car to be served, so I went to Village and rewatched Ant-Man, as you do. There were kids in the theatre who just wouldn't shut up. It was a rewatch, so not as annoying, but annoying nonetheless. Not exactly awkward, but that's the best I've got. No, I think that's fine. Would you say, Jan?
Yeah. I don't know what you said, but like, what kids are in the theater midday during school hours, man? What's going on?
Yeah, and how old were these kids?
They're like fucking full adults, and like he's just like, this is their one day off they have of the year. They're trying to have some fun with the mates at the movies, and Spooky.
Yeah, right.
You're hating.
Yeah, exactly. He's a hater. Now, Luke, I need more information. Jaden's raising really good points here. Why were they not at school? I mean, that's just the case full stop. Yeah, because this was a weekday. Yeah, I don't know. Weird. Anyway, no, it definitely counts because, I don't know, not necessarily awkward per se, but definitely like annoying. And I feel like that's sort of in the same category. Yeah, I think it's fine. All right, Andy wrote in his answer, everyone strap in. Please bear with me, and I apologise in advance. The one and only awkward experience I've had at the cinemas was seeing the new 4K restoration of Park Chan-wook's Old Boy. I watched this when I was randomly wanted to ditch another uni class. From Vic Uni, I took a train to Southern Cross, then a subway to Melbourne Central, then finally a train to Lygon Street.
Just jump a paragraph.
Andy, this could have been written different. No, I'm doing it. Whatever. Where I saw the film, which was at Nova Cinema. Andy, can you tell us the address of Nova Cinema and what you had for breakfast that morning as well while you're at it, please? Okay. Please feel free to give a rating out of 10 whether you think this sounded awkward or not by the end of this response. Okay. I will if I remember to do that. So this Old Boy 4K restoration had been going on at Nova Cinema for 2 weeks, so naturally not many people would be seeing it anymore. I wanted to see it out of the blue, So when I rocked up to the cinema and asked for a ticket to see Old Boy, they said they weren't planning to screen it since literally no one was going to see this particular screening. But they said I can still watch it and allowed me to walk into Cinema 1, which is the biggest theatre. Imagine having a massive theatre to yourself while watching a Korean masterpiece like Old Boy. That was satisfying to know once I entered the theatre. What made it awkward, though, was the guy who came in to clean the theatre and was like to me, "What the H word are you doing here?" What?
Yeah, I don't know why he sent to himself. I guess he's like worried about being shadow banned.
Hang on, what's the H word? Am I dumb?
Hell, probably, or heck.
Okay. Okay. All right. And then I replied, "Oh, I'm here to watch Old Boy." He reacted with, F word, which I thought was pretty funny. And then he told me, that is pretty funny. And then he told me I had to wait for 30 minutes more than originally planned for them to clean up the theatre and then put on Old Boy. So for the next 30 minutes, it was the guy going around cleaning every row while I was just sitting at the centre of the cinema waiting silently. At one point, the guy cleaning told me they had a screening for kids at this exact theatre, and he was like, "Jesus Christ, kids are so messy." And I chuckled. Once the... Once the guy gathered the garbage bags and walked out of the theatre, the lights dimmed down and I finally got to watch the movie. A reminder, this was a movie that wasn't going to show until Andrew showed up. God, he knows his name. Oh, no, that's him. Sorry. So you can imagine how annoyed they would be. Hey, okay, Andy, I'm not going to pause much, I promise. But, dude, they advertised the time. They can friggin' play it when they said they were going to play it. I don't see how this is your fault. But anyway, I actually enjoyed the movie. Great experience overall. Keeping in mind that since there was a delay, the movie was going to run over time to the next screening in Theatre 1. So when there was 10 minutes left, I was sort of crying while watching the climax take place. But a mother and son came into the theatre during this scene because I think they were waiting for the next screening at the theatre I was in. With small teary eyes, I asked them, "Have you seen Old Boy yet?" And they said they haven't. I then yelled out, "Get out of the theatre, please." They left hurriedly, which made them look uncomfortable, but even though there was a delay, there was no way you could come in to see the last part of a film that you haven't seen before. So I kicked them out for their benefit. Once the film ended, I can't believe, so this man kicked them out of the theatre.
What, actually?
Okay. Apparently, once the film ended, I told them to come back in and they thanked me. Hey, what the fuck's going on here? This shit ain't real. What? Wait, okay. So yeah, there was a single theatrical experience that was awkward for me. I think the one thing that made up for the awkwardness was that I thanked the staff for putting up the film for me, even though they didn't plan to, and they were very nice. So would you say a delayed screening counts as awkward? Well, hey, Andy,
This whole
that's
fucking
the least
thing's,
of it.
dude.
Andy, a delayed screening, that's the least of it. You told me that you kicked out this woman, this cleaner, 30 minutes. Like you had to sit there silently with him in the room.
Oh my god,
that's the most awkward thing I've ever heard. Andy, okay, look,
it's like a sitcom. That's so funny.
I'm not going to make any comments on on like the length of the story and everything, but one thing is undeniable: that was awkward. There's no doubt. That is the pinnacle of the question. So, congrats. Oh my god, I feel like I need to break it down, but I also can't look at it ever again. Oh my god, seriously though, like why are they being nice for putting on a film for you when the film was advertised at that time, right? I don't even understand that at all. Okay, for the statistically in the YouTube stats, it'll be like 0.5 people that are still here. Let's give our answers to this question. Our most awkward cinema going experiences. Jaden, what did you come up with?
Mine involves Andy as well. Last night we went to see The Goddess of 1967, which is an Australian film. And it's part of it's showing as part of Melbourne's Women in Film Festival, and it was accompanied by a Q&A with the director and the producer afterwards. And and after the film, Andy wanted to get a photo. He told me earlier, he's like, oh yeah, I want to get a photo. So I was like, yeah, that's awesome. Fucking, there's a cool people. Obviously, you want to get a photo. And we went up to there. We kind of like, someone was asking questions, just chatting with them, and like we were waiting. And then like when, like as soon as he had the opportunity, like as soon as like the conversation was over, Andy starts trying like Andy goes to ask for a photo, but because they're Chinese, he starts to ask in Cantonese, but he kind of fucks up. And like he has to end up like asking in English, and it was just like it wasn't that bad. It was just a bit awkward of like his Cantonese, like he fucked up his Cantonese a bit, and like so like they're kind of looking at him and like photo, it's like it was just it was just standing there waiting with my phone. I was like, oh, okay, it's a bit awkward.
I'm so glad that everyone's somehow managed to have awkward cinema experiences just this week.
Yeah.
Their answers. Did you have a backup answer prior?
Oh yeah, X.
Oh yeah. That was that. I had that as my answer as well. Although I didn't actually. That was sort of the obvious choice.
Yeah, that's why I didn't want to. That's why I didn't want to use it.
Yeah, and I didn't really want to use it. I actually didn't really find it awkward personally. Like
the awkward part. Well, sorry to steal your answer, Liam. If you do use this, but the awkward part was the fact that the door was open for about 30 minutes, and anyone walking by.
That's objectively awkward.
Yeah.
Yeah. Heard all sorts of interesting sounds. Yeah, for sure. Yeah. No, that's a great point. The other one I had. This was tough because I could think of plenty of memorable cinema experiences I've had, which sort of made me feel like that would have been a better question. I don't know, but like specifically awkward, not awkward, but like I guess this one's like cosmically. Oh Jesus Christ! Sorry. I guess this one's like cosmically awkward because when the three of us went to see Everything Everywhere All at Once, I've told you guys about how I fell asleep, but. It was an order of events of where...
The three of us as in
my father and my brother and myself.
Oh, okay.
Now, this was like... I feel like this is like a three Goldilocks parable because what happened was we walked in, I don't know, probably 50 minutes into the movie, my father just left. He left the theater. He wasn't into it at all.
That's
he walked out and left. Yeah, he had better shit to do with his time, apparently. So then it's just left with Jake and I. Then we're sort of sitting there for probably another half an hour. God, that movie is long, isn't it? And then I definitely start fading a little bit, for sure. And then I can't remember the exact order. I think I fall asleep, and then I sort of come back half into it for the third act. Like the third act, I was sort of in and out of it. And then for sure, at some point I look over and Jake is also asleep. So I feel like that was an awkward cinema going experience for the three of us. Let's go to the cinema on a Sunday afternoon. Let's the three of us do something together, and we all just fucked it up. We all completely failed at the attempt to go and see this film in the cinema. So I would say that is awkward in some way.
Did your dad like have his own car that he left with? Did he come back and pick you up? Or?
We all were in the same car. I don't recall if he was there when we left in the car. I don't know if he sat in the car the whole time or if he like he's rather sit in the car by himself than watch that movie.
What did he like say to you when he left?
When we got back? Oh no, he didn't say anything when he left. He just left. And then when we got back into the car, he was just like, oh I wasn't really into it. I just rather do some work instead. I was like, oh okay. So I don't know if he did work on his... He must have done work on his phone in the car. That's what he must have done. So I don't think he drove off. So yeah. Anyway, I wasn't trying to comment on Everything Everywhere All at Once. I just think that was a fail. That was a fail of a cinema going experience. I think on
a family outing.
Exactly. That's what it is. It was a family cinema outing that we all botched for sure. All right, Fitzy, what's your answer?
God, I kind of forgot about this question, but I might have a decent answer. So Surfboard Holiday program back in the day, when I was 12, let's say, there was this little date that little Liam went on, and basically it was at the movies at Reddings. It was like a really humid day, and so our arms were like against each other for like half the movie or something, and then when I went to move it, it was like completely sticky. So when we when we separated, it was like a slow roll of like unsticking the arms. And the
like
other
a sound
awkward thing about it was that the two other girls, they were like watching the date. It was like a setup kind of date. So every action I did was being like, scrutinized,
Analysed?
observed. Yeah. So yeah, that's my answer.
I think that's
That's a
probably
really-
like the most awkward one of the bunch.
Yeah, probably.
This actually ended up having more quality responses than I anticipated. I'm happy about this. That's really awkward. Dude, you didn't even have to have the sticky and humid part like that for sure. But like when you just said our arms were like touching for like half that, like without that's awkward.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
No, you're on a
Arms
date, bit of.
No, but like you're in or you're out. You know what I mean? Right? Like you're holding hands. Like you're holding hands, or you're just both there together. You're not like arms touching. That's like, what is that?
I don't know.
I'd be dude. Oh my god, I'd be so self-conscious if our arms were touching. I'd be like, oh my god. Anyway, thank you for that, Fitzy. That was really good. Okay. We'd love you all to submit your questions, thoughts, and reviews for next week's film in the YouTube comment section. Send us a DM on Instagram or join the Discord server. This week, the specific question we'll be asking you is, what is, in your opinion, the most efficient alien invasion in fiction? Let us know. TV, film, whatever. Any depiction of an alien invasion you've seen, what has been the most effective, the most efficient one, in your opinion? What is one that you're like, you look at that invasion, you're like, yeah, dude, they had the shit figured out. They did a good job, So let us know. Fitzy, why on earth are we asking this particular question, though?
Because Arrival won the poll pretty much. What do they call it when
Landslide?
landslide? Yeah, that's it. So Arrival's on Stan. Oh, the Denis Villeneuve film. Denis Villeneuve.
I'm not
Will
sure.
this be our second Denis film? Third? Third.
No, third.
Yes,
Right.
Karl Urban Blade Runner.
Oh yeah.
I think so.
Forgot
Oh,
about
no, in June. It'll be the fourth.
Oh, in June. Oh, yeah.
Damn.
Yeah. Super ultra friend of the show. Is it not on Netflix too, though?
Apparently not.
Okay. I thought it was. Or it was for a while anyway.
Yeah.
Okay. No worries. All right. We'll definitely check out Arrival. Excited to do that one next week. Thanks, everyone, for tuning in. Thanks, Jane and Liam, for joining me as always. What's happening?
No, don't worry. I'll
Does
tell
it
you
end it?
afterwards.
All right. See you all next time. Please take care and goodbye.